So you mentioned the conference capabilities, some of those
Yes.
things that we've learned. You said that was the number one thing that we've learned.
I would say that the transformation to a fully remote meeting structure is probably the number one change that I've seen in the last year. I'm sorry, I'm gonna take a drink. The number one change that I've seen in the last year is absolutely the transformation to 100% digital meetings, not having 5 people in a conference room. Getting that group of people together in a conference room now, it's hard to stay, have spacing, the appropriate spacing. You need to have 6 feet or 3 feet in every direction with masks on.
Mm-hmm.
You need to have all these different things to check those boxes. It's in the world that we've been in the last year, that's not safe. So, everybody just jump on a meeting, and everybody can be in either their own office or their home, or I've going to admit I've taken a phone call from a outside of a coffee house or coffee shop at some point or another. So all of those are true, that you can do that, and it's completely possible now to do it. Whereas a year ago it was possible, not acceptable. If you could be in person, you go in person. Now I'd say it's not only possible, it's expected that you're going to be joining remotely. And you should see what happens when I get some. I make offers all the time to go and meet with someone in person, and people go, kind of give a side eyeball and go, "Why would you want to meet me in person?" Well, because I'm a person who craves being in a room with people, and I joke about it. Introverts have thrived in the last year in this, where I'm an extrovert, and it's like putting an introvert in a big crowd is putting an extrovert in a lonely room. And that's really kind of the way that it's been for me. So I'm doing everything I can to go and do that. And I volunteer. I'll come. Thankfully I've been able to get my vaccinations. My wife is now had her first one. Some of my kids are now getting their vaccinations. So thankfully I'm able to offer that. And customers say, no, not right now, thank you, we're not having people come in. That's fine, but I do think it's important to have that option to it's just assume that you're going to be doing this remote, and then after the fact you come back to it the other way and say, oh, I could be in person too if we really need it. I have this fancy whiteboard right here for a reason. I do a lot of video whiteboard sessions.
Well, that's one of those things too that we were experimenting with, is that Teams, for example, has the virtual whiteboards.
Yep.
And it's surprising how well that works.
Yes, and that's actually the number one reason I have my Surface Go. My Surface Go is because it has the pen, it has the ability to do the whiteboard, and I can sketch out architecture. We can it's really awesome to be able to take an idea or a conversation, flip it into a quick little drawing, and then in really short order flip that into a Visio or Draw.io drawing, and now give the customer almost in real time what we were talking about just over a session like this into a logical architecture drawing. And that's it has reduced, I will say, it has reduced the time to deliver that versus going to someplace, setting up a meeting, drawing on a whiteboard, taking pictures with your phone, and then looking at your phone really small on your camera and then drawing that all out. It's been really nice to be able to flip that around, and you can do updates on the fly from both sides. So if you and I are having a whiteboard conversation, you can actually draw on that whiteboard as well. So now it's not just one way, me driving the whiteboard conversation to you. Now it's a two-way conversation where I'm giving you a whiteboard conversation and you're asking questions about things in return the other way.
Mm-hmm. No, it's actually pretty amazing how Microsoft has been able to adapt to the level that they have when it comes to I mean, we're seeing an unprecedented amount of people using Teams now in such a short
Yes.
period of time. We didn't really see any, if hardly any, interruption in any kind of service. The level of scaling there
Yeah.
is pretty surprising.
Yeah. And I mean, as short as 18 months ago, I mean, this is how long, short a time ago, as just as, short time ago as 18 months ago, at Stratum, we were using Slack. At
Hmm.
Stratum, we were using Ring Central, or Zoom, as our meeting tool set, and our real time collaboration tool set. And those products, those services do have their place, and there's I'm no organization is going to completely dominate everything, but the ease with which Teams plugs into everything else that I do in my daily life. And I got to give Microsoft credit. They were not ever expecting the level and scale as fast as they were faced with. And I'll give Zoom the same credit and Ring Central the same credit. Nobody had planned for the level and the scale of usage almost overnight. I mean, within
Hmm.
7 days, everything flipped remote a year ago. And now it's just assumed that everything's remote and everything's up and everything's working. And when it doesn't, people freak out. I mean, I go to Twitter. My personal family has a Slack team. It's a great little tool for chats with kids that have other Slack teams and everything else. It's there, so we use it. Teams isn't really designed for family communal chat or group chats.
Hmm.
Um, and so what we have found is that Slack works really well. But um, you know, look on Twitter when Slack goes offline, which has happened a couple of times in the last year. Look on Twitter when Teams goes offline or Azure Active Directory goes offline, and what you'll find is suddenly in minutes it goes from not even trending at all to a global or a national or a regional trend that says, hey, this is now a big thing. This is now an issue. And that's a interesting paradigm that has happened, I'd say, in the last year. Um, is that we're all much more ready to just take it out, look to something like Twitter as this is where I get my news. I don't necessarily want to see only bad or only good. You can get it from any number of different places. And I lived overseas for 2 years, so I use BBC quite a bit. I use, the European and news site out of Abu Dhabi called The National. I still use that for a lot of news around the globe, not just only the U.S. because I'm trying to understand how COVID is affecting businesses around the globe, not just in Sugar Land, Texas.
Right. And another thing too is the level of collaboration that we've been seeing internally through Teams is unreal. I mean,
Yeah.
we use Teams for everything from project management to
Mm-hmm.
customer communications. I mean, we even
Yep.
set up those external channels now with our customers so that it's real
Mm-hmm.
time, quicker than email.
Yeah, and it's important, I think, communication. There's always three types of communication with our customers or our customers to us.
Mm-hmm.
There's three types of communication. There's um, the conversation. Sorry, there's a conversation that's one way, that is, hey, there's a problem. That might be Twitter, that might be Teams, that might be, hey, or it might be a status page, or might be just an email that says, hey, there's a problem. But what ends up happening is that is one directional, and collaboration is never one directional. And you're not collaborating with someone if someone tells you you're going to get what we want when we want to give it to you. So it becomes a two-way conversation. The ability to cross connect with Teams has been really quite valuable. There's some great ways that when we start talking about it, integrating your telephony system,
Mm-hmm.
been incredibly valuable. So I don't give out my cell phone number anymore to my customers. I give out a telephony that's always going to ring. It's always going to go to voicemail. It's got text to phone. So if I'm in a meeting and I get an email, like I just had a phone call me, I'm going to get the voicemail a little bit that tells me exactly. I don't have to listen to a voicemail, which doesn't sound like much, but I'm in meetings from 7 in the morning until 6 o'clock at night Central Time.
Mm-hmm.
Now, especially, it used to be I had some time where I could do some work, but in a world where someone is always looking at my screen or looking at checking if I'm looking at them or not in a camera on world. Well, that results in a lot of cases of, I need to have this thing that's guaranteed, and I can still not miss that phone call, but get that visibility coming in. So that's another way that we've seen teams help with, is that telephony aspect of it. And then obviously the external collaboration and being able to invite other people into our team's client. And we build channels, or we build entire teams dedicated to our customers. And as we build in those entire teams to our customers, it's been pretty well adopted and well received, because that becomes where the conversations happen. We don't have to have emails. We don't have to have meetings, because we can usually, through a combination of screenshots and files and log collections and chats and maybe the occasional call, we're taken care of. But it's all in that one location. Recording video can be collected and stored right there. So if someone had to miss a meeting because they either got sick, or they had a kid who got sick, or they're taking a mental health day, those you can still see what's going on, but you don't have to do it in real time all the time. And that's, I think, been valuable as well for our team, is the ability to centralize all of the messages to the customers in a single location.
Thank you for watching Stratum's Cloud Interrupted. If you like what you see, please subscribe, like, and share this video.